Here's my top 10 teams in the country as I see them. I'm going to start 10 down to 1. I'm going to go with Iowa State at number 10. Listen, this team has been really lights out since that opening loss to Louisiana. They continue to go out there, play hard, and win games. I love what Breece Hall said. 5-star culture beats 5-star players. That's certainly what Matt Campbell has there with Iowa State. And for the first time, Iowa State has beaten Texas and Oklahoma in the same season. Catbird seat, not only to get to that Big 12 championship game, but right now they would probably be favored, depending on what happens health-wise with Oklahoma. Speaking of Oklahoma, I've got them at number 9. This team, I think, is really coming into their own, both defensively and offensively. All right. Not only did Ramondre Stevenson change the way that their run game helps their offense and their young quarterback Spencer Rattler, but their defense is playing very well. They lead the Power 5 in sacks per game right now. Their front 7 has played really well, in particular with Ronnie Perkins back. So Oklahoma is a really good team, and they're looking for their sixth straight Big 12 title. They control their own destiny to get to that game, probably face that 10th ranked team, at least in my eyes, Iowa State. At number 8, I've got Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is very balanced. I can't wait to talk with Coach Meyer. I'm going to ask him about Luke Fickell, why he thinks he's such a good head coach. Obviously cut his teeth under Coach Meyer there at Ohio State and Jim Tressel even before that. But I love this team. I really do. They're balanced. They've got a quality resume. It's not the best resume you've ever seen, but in a COVID year, it's a quality resume, and they're certainly going to have an argument at the end of this thing to get included into this college football playoff. At number 7, I've got BYU. This is a team that is given no respect by this committee whatsoever. Think about it. If we still had the BCS math, which, by the way, is way better than the committee's math because it has more inputs. There's less statistical variance around every single equation. Therefore, biases can hurt a team much less in the BCS equation than it can right now in the playoff committee room. If you go by just the BCS, they would be right around that 7 and 8 mark right now. Every human poll has them at 7 and 8. Every computer has them right around that mark where there'd be 7th or 8th. But no. I'm supposed to believe the 13 people in the committee that are ADs from Power 5 schools and so on and so forth. And don't worry, folks. They're the ones that tell me that BYU is not a top 10 team. Give me a break. This is a team that leads college football in margin of victory, just over 33 points. They're second in terms of yard margin per game, how much they outgain their opponent by. But don't worry, I'm not supposed to sit there and look at a fact that they've got a first-round quarterback who's going to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. No. They're BYU. They can't get a game on their schedule because those Power 5 ADs don't want to schedule them. So let's keep them out of the top 10. Garbage. They're my 7th-ranked team. Number 6, I've got Florida. Florida at 7-1 has got to be 6 because the team that they lost to is Texas A&M, and they're number 5. Florida's doing great things, obviously, in the passing game. Kyle Trask is really good. Pitts came back. He had a monster game, a couple of more touchdowns. He's the best tight end in the country. Texas A&M is sitting there at number 5, 6-1. They're dealing with a little bit of a COVID issue, although they did come back and get onto the field. Unimpressive offensively, at least in my estimation, against an LSU team that has really struggled on defense. A&M's defense played really well, but if you're going to say that Ohio State struggled against Indiana and that should be held against them, then shouldn't it be held against Texas A&M that they struggled somewhat with an LSU team that hasn't even been a shell of their former self this season, in particular on the defensive side? I don't know. Food for thought. My number 4 team is Clemson. I've lost to Notre Dame. Even shorthanded, I've got them behind Ohio State. Obviously, with Lawrence back, this is a guy that gives them a huge boost. It should be stated that Uyunglele did throw for, 1 billion yards against Notre Dame. So you don't know how much more they're going to get from their quarterback in a championship game scenario, Trevor Lawrence against Notre Dame. But that remains to be seen. Ohio State is number 3. This is still a very talented roster that was able to beat Indiana, even though they gave up a lot of passing yards. I think they're going to fix some things in the secondary because most of the things that went wrong were fixable. And I think from a coaching standpoint, they're going to be able to do that. They still have Justin Fields, and they should be given the opportunity to get better. At number 2, I've got Notre Dame. At number 1, Alabama. Notre Dame playing great football. Nicely done, hard-nosed, line of scrimmage team. Not so much flashy, but just a really good football team. They're certainly in a catbird seat, not only to get to the college football playoff, but maybe even pull down a conference title. See what I did there? Notre Dame pull down a conference title. Bama, though, is the top team in the country for me, and they are by a bit of a margin at this point. The way that they've played since the Ole Miss game, since really the second half of the Georgia game, has been unbelievable. Their defense has been spectacular. Even with Waddle not on the field, their passing game is spectacular with Mac Jones, and their run game is really good. That's the best team in the country, and I don't see anybody actually beating Alabama. So I think they're steamrolling themselves towards a potential national championship, and it would be the second one for Nick Saban with an undefeated squad if he's able to do it. All right. Now let's go to the playoff rankings. And I got to tell you, I know I get frustrated with the playoff rankings, and I gave you a little bit of what I thought the most egregious one was the BYU at 13. Again, like, I'm sorry, I just think that's wrong. You want to hold BYU's schedule against them, and yet the very people that are in the room, or the very type of people that are in the room, are the reason why BYU's schedule is what it is, because no one will schedule them. Right? Like, what are they supposed to do? They are literally trying to get any game they can possibly get. Say what you will about the Washington situation. There was some stipulations from the Pac-12 that didn't allow Washington to guarantee BYU that game was going to happen. So BYU, again, is sitting behind the 8 ball. What do you want them to do? All right. The Big 12, they were only going to play one non-conference game, and most of those games were already set beforehand. They just took one of their non-conference games and placed them in the schedule. Big Ten wasn't going to play any conference games. Pac-12 wasn't going to play any non-conference games. The ACC, they don't have a scheduling combination with BYU. The SEC was going to play only conference games. I get frustrated with this notion of, like, we're going to hold BYU's schedule against them, and yet the very type of people that are in the committee room are the reason the schedule for BYU is what it is. I'm really tired of the disrespect that Zach Wilson, Kalani Sitake, and the rest of the Cougars are getting. The only other problem that I have really in these rankings are the fact that Georgia is still in the top 10. All right, the only reason Georgia is in the top 10 is because they've recruited at a high level. Right now, the composite rankings in terms of the talent on the roster, I believe, put Georgia as the most talented roster in college football. And you can make an argument, certainly, that they're better with JT Daniels at quarterback, and I believe that they are. But the biggest 2 games that they played this year, they got decimated, and it was the strength of their team that got decimated, their defense, in the Alabama game and in the Florida game. It's not like they've gone out there and beaten some powerhouse that would suggest that they should be in the top 10. What makes them a top 10 team and not Indiana? I saw Indiana throw for 491 yards against Ohio State. Ohio State's one of those talented rosters, at least we assume them, but they're not given the benefit of the doubt like Georgia's given the benefit of the doubt. It's very clear, like, that this committee, as every iteration of the committee before them, favors highly and significantly the SEC, which is fine. I believe that the SEC is the best conference out there, and maybe even more so this year. But it's not what it has been in previous years, folks. So why are we just blindly giving them the benefit of the doubt? Georgia should not be a top team. I'm sorry, they just shouldn't be. You can whine and cry and say they would be favored over these teams and so on and so forth. They have not earned the right to sit in the top 10. The only way they've earned the right is by the way they've recruited, and I think that that's wrong.
Start your Saturday strong at 10 Eastern with the legendary college football lineup on the Big Noon Kickoff Show. Big Noon Kickoff on Fox.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.